Good morning, everyone. Well, it's morning here in Southeast Texas, and wanted to do a quick update on the condition of the Gulf of Mexico since the story got out there. Um, the anomaly seemed to continue until just a few days ago, except it didn't stay at 130. It declined until it was like hanging around like 86 degrees and then 80, so you could tell something had happened, maybe even a small eruption. Um, but it did calm down, but it stayed like hotter, than everything that's around. I mean, we're having like 40-degree nights here in Texas and, around 70s during the day, with a nice cold wind that's coming through constantly, right? And yet, right there in the Gulf of Mexico where this anomaly is, it's 86 degrees. And that's on the low side after the 138-degree temps, that we were seeing there for a minute. And we had a certain fact checker have some doctor, come on and say, that it was impossible to reach 133 or 138 degrees. But it took me no digging at all to find a video. It's called When a Volcano Erupts Underwater, and I'm going to go ahead and leave the link for that video. But it actually had footage of a volcano erupted underwater. It wasn't like major where water flew everywhere, but it was pretty close to the things that we were seeing. And one of the things that caught my eye is that it said that, water temperatures can reach 150 degrees. So 138 was well within a temperature of an underwater volcano erupting. It was well within, because, the magma can be like, what, 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit? So, of course, that much water, it's going to warm it up, right? But they had this doctor coming on trying to tell everybody, oh no, that's impossible. No, it's not. And I also thought that that fish kill was really funny that happened in Florida, because they were trying to say it was like the brown algae, but the fish kill was only one day. And it was it was like they knew that that fish kill was going to happen, like brown algae only did it for one day. That doesn't make sense if that's what it was, but they knew that fish kill was coming. They had it out in the news, and it was just for one day, around the day that we were seeing that heat anomaly. Now, something interesting that also happened was there is a YouTuber named Rushfan Ninth Command on YouTube, and he was really the one who had caught the anomaly first, right? So he and I got to talking, and I asked him, I said, because I'd come across something interesting, and I asked him, I said, do you know what the coordinates are for this anomaly? So he comes back a couple of days later, and I thank him for this, and he says, oh, well, and it's like on his page somewhere, one of his YouTube videos, he's like, well, the best guess I can find is like, 23 lat, and he said, yeah, 23 lat, and what was it? Yeah, 93 longitude. And so I went back and looked at that 4.9 magnitude earthquake that had happened May of 2013, because I knew the coordinates of it. Well, I'd found them. I checked, and the coordinates were exactly what Rushfan was saying that they were. I looked, and it was 23 latitude, 23.0373 latitude, and negative 93.2072 longitude. And so when we start talking about things that are impossible in the Gulf, and you find that we had a heat anomaly exactly on top of where we had a pretty major quake, a 4.9 quake, that's not like a 2-pointer. I mean, that's no little bump in the night, that's pretty good size quake for underwater, and the coordinates being what they are, that's no coincidence either, right? So it just seemed like a really bad failed attempt to fact check. They really need to do a little bit more digging, and they'll find out that there are volcanoes down in the Gulf of Mexico. And with NASA saying that the solar wind's going to get worse, um, we could see this anomaly in the Gulf again. All right, that's, it's like a grand mal. Once you have one, you're prone to having them again, kind of thing, right? And the Gulf of Mexico is causing all kinds of problems now. One of the stories that came out was that the Kremlin from Russia had one of their vessels out in the Gulf of Mexico like immediately. I mean, they've been in and out of the Galveston Bay for a few years, doing kind of research, especially after the BP oil spill. And that story went out. They think it's a super volcano. All right. So you add um, a slow Gulf Stream with the erupting volcanoes that are going off in the world, right? And it explains a lot why New York and the UK are having the worst winters like ever, because slow Gulf Stream, it gives the water in the stream more time to cool by the time it gets to these northern places, right? When it comes to the last thing I want to talk about before I go, is that the 4.9 that I was just talking about, I went ahead and took a quick look to find the history of the Gulf of Mexico quakes. And when I pulled it up, the 4.9 wasn't there. I mean, it is just, no, it's not there. There's other quakes. I know there's been more than that on this map, but that one specifically was not there. And I found that very suspicious too. So really the lesson to be learned here is that you've got to learn to think for yourself. Don't just, take the word for it that the media gives you right now, because again, they haven't been completely honest, or somebody's not being honest with them, or not allowing them to be honest, or maybe they just really don't know what they're talking about. People aren't stupid. The story blew up because people understood the science, and if you've lived on the Gulf all your life like I have, we already knew there was volcanoes down there. We don't need some scientist to sit here and tell us what's possible and what's not possible down there. My grandpa's ashes are in the Gulf of Mexico, okay? 50 miles out, all right? I grew up on that water in Lake Houston and the San Jacinto River, all right? So don't just like, oh yeah, it's impossible. Nothing is impossible lately. That's one thing we've all been seeing. And so when you look at the conditions in New York to the UK, what I'm seeing next happen is famine is going to start hitting, okay? It's going to start spreading. We're going to probably have what I thought we were going to be having is a year without a summer for some places, Right now in Houston, our weather is beautiful. I mean, it's cold, but let me tell you, even in the South, I'm pretty sure that at some point before summer, when the crops are really starting to look pretty, but they're not ripe yet, that we're going to have a really bad cold snap like we did last year. So, you know, you need to be thinking about making some potted plants and, taking really babying those plants, because you might thank yourself, later on. So that's all for today, and I wanted to thank you for stopping by. I'll be back to talk to you soon, so God bless you all. All right, bye.